it's more of an interest of just offering it as a community amenity. You know, I guess we could make some money.
Well, if you would want to, please.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Henderson City Board of Commissioners meeting Tuesday, September 13th, 2022. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vowles is absent. Commissioner Pruitt?
Here.
Commissioner Staton?
Here.
Commissioner Thomas?
Here.
Mayor Austin?
Here. I want to mention, too, that City Manager Buzzy Newman is on Zoom, connected on Zoom. Is there anyone here today that has something they want to bring before the commission that is not on the agenda? Appears to be none. So the next thing on our agenda is a year report from New Works on the East End program. And Senator Robbie Mills is here with us today. Robbie, welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. I have with me Tammy Sutton, Austin Maxheimer as well, who's going to jump in and do a little presentation with me here in just a few minutes. We're going to try to go through this in about 10 or 15 minutes real quick. There's a lot of information here, and we're not going to read this report to you, but what you have in front of you is a culmination of about 238 individual interviews that occurred in the last year throughout the East End. And this data was assimilated by a gentleman named Dan Deal, who takes data from neighborhood interviews like this and turns it into a report like you have in front of you that's much more easily digested. The report's made up of 4 different parts. I'm going to cover the first page of it that kind of is an overview of the census of the East End that we've been looking at. And there's 4 things that really kind of jump out to me in this census. The focus area has a higher percentage of non-white residents compared to the city of Henderson. So we're dealing with a larger minority population than the general population of Henderson. Nearly 40% are under the age of 18. Think about that. There's a lot of kids in this area under 18. Roughly, the median income is about $7,000 less than what the average median income is in Henderson. Only 38% are homeowners. So you got a lot of renters there, a lot of landlords doing business in that area as well. And the final point is that 32% have less than a high school education. Not a high school education, but less than a high school education. So you know all the problems that creates as well. So this was made up of 4 census tracts. The biggest census tract is the census tract 203, which goes from Green Street down Clay Street to Atkinson over to Washington. So that rectangle is where about 80% of the respondents and the census data is from.
Senator, can I ask? I'm
Sure.
sorry to interrupt.
Oh, you're
Can I
fine.
ask a question though?
Hmm?
On the 32%, does that include people who are under the age of 18?
I don't believe so because that I'd have to look and get you for sure on that, but
Okay.
I'm assuming that factored
people
out to
18 and
18.
over.
It's just the 18 and over because they wouldn't be, at that point yet to get that education.
Thank you.
So, but I'll get you that answer. Okay, at this point, I'm going to have Austin come up and talk about the listening, the process that we went through on listening to get this data.
All right. Thank you guys. A lot of Austins here. Good company. So the main thing that we wanted to communicate with this is page 2 of the report for, does everyone have a copy of it? If you want to follow along, is that about a year ago, a little more than a year ago, we sat in front of you guys and requested some help, some participation, and we just wanted to communicate that we delivered on the first year. Because in the first year, when we talk about a year of listening, a year of engaging residents, sometimes it doesn't feel like there's any activity happening, but this will hopefully quantify that for you guys a little bit to show that, yes, things are happening. Listening is actually an action, even though it doesn't sometimes feel like that. But we said the first year we wanted to listen to East End residents and collect their voice. And so we met almost 250 residents over the year. So that's about 10% of the adult population of the geographical focus area. And so that's a really important number, because once you start to hit 10%, then you can start to influence culture. And so that's why we set that number as a goal, and we hit it. So that's really good. And then our neighborhood coordinator, Miyoshi, also met with 35 stakeholders. Those are just people that can invest in the East End, whether that's through human resourcing, through goods and services programs, or anything like that. That's part of the larger Henderson community. That's what that number represents. So then moving down, we did 69 SWOT analysis. So if you may be familiar with that, it's just a simple listening exercise, asking neighbors what the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are of the neighborhood. And then 45 influencer interviews, and that data is represented in the rest of the report about what we heard. But to close out this section, and then I'll open it up if there's any questions, that represents over 150 hours of listening to residents. So when we think about building a sustainable community from the inside out, the East End residents need to participate in that. And so they've started that process by listening, by lending their voice, and letting themselves be heard. And so thank you guys for your investment in that and making sure that their voice was heard.
Tammy's going to come in and talk about the strengths and the weaknesses that we found out from the residents.
So this is what I would consider to be like the most important part of what we got back, and it's what the neighbors, the people that live there, the East End residents, what they would like to see and what they currently see in their neighborhood. So they see the strengths as the neighbors and people living in there because they feel like it can be a very close-knit community. They think the amenities like the Audubon Kids Zone, churches, the splash park, areas like that are good places in the East End that are identifiable, and they think that there's housing opportunities there. So they feel like with Habitat building more houses there, that they would, they appreciate the investment in there by Habitat. And so some of the things, though, that they see not as strengths and opportunities, but as weaknesses or threats, they're concerned about the drug use there. They're concerned about substance abuse, and they're concerned about rehab. They're concerned about the incarceration rate. They're concerned about the lack of youth programming. And that one of those things is I feel like since they feel like Audubon Kids Zone is a strength, that would be some place that we would be able to plug in with maybe the churches and some other organizations like JFK and be able to help solve that issue there with having things for the youth to do. There's the prevalence of drugs in the homes, and there's blight. There's general blight in the area. So sometimes when you go down certain streets on the East End, it's not pleasant to go down. So that's kind of the summary. You can see more in there, but more the summary of what the people that live there think.
And then Austin's going to finish out the report talking about the key ideas, key takeaways.
Yeah, so moving from the SWOT to influence interviews, those were, some of you guys participated in that as well. It was just a set of 5 questions using an appreciative inquiry approach. Oftentimes, people in neighborhoods like East End, they get told all the time that they're living in a bad place, and so what we want to do is come in and ask, what do you appreciate? Ask questions, inquire about what they appreciate about their neighborhood to build from a place of strength. And so you can look at the actual questions there. What are the things, places, and people you enjoy about the neighborhood? What are your dreams, desires for the neighborhood and your family? If you could become a leader in your community, and how can we support in making those dreams and desires come true? And there's a lot of data there, so I'm not going to get into the individual pieces. You guys can process those and look through them as you go or after the meeting. But you won't be surprised, I feel like, by a lot of the answers. Even some of the SWOT responses that Tammy highlighted, they're not any things that you probably didn't already know or probably couldn't have foresaw, that you probably could have foresaw as responses from neighbors. But the key to this, again, is that it's voiced by people in the community. It's actual data from people, from their lived experience. And so what we'll do moving from this is on September 24th, we're going to have one last all-call community session where we present this data to the community, have them affirm what they've heard or what their neighbors have spoken, give them one last opportunity to talk, but then we're going to start identifying finally things that we can align behind for action. So building off of the listening data that's already been presented about what they hope to see for their community, then they can identify solutions for change. owned by the community themselves. Now, of course, that's going to take the city, that's going to take nonprofits, that's going to take everyone coming together to bring that level of investment, but it'll be driven and rooted in the residents themselves. And so, and then probably maybe the most important thing of that day will be, okay, now we've got all these ideas and solutions, which ones are the most important to you? Here's one more sticker, go put it on what you're willing to work on. Because we want to make sure that residents have the opportunity then to work on the things that they want to see change. And so that's what year 2 looks like, is starting to identify these solutions or interventions, and then building teams of residents along with community stakeholders to start driving towards that change that they want to see.
So we feel like after the last year that we've got a document in hand, and you guys have the document in hand that's written by the residents that says, this is what the issues are in the East End, this is what the positives, these are the negatives, how do we go about this? So, as Austin said, our next goal is to try to mobilize residents to actually get together on a monthly basis and focus around certain issues, whether it's housing, whether it's just in general a neighborhood association, whether it's crime, and we're going to hopefully have 3 or 4 groups within the East End that can get together and talk about these issues and help solve some of the community's problems that we see in this report. So that is what the Neighborhood Champion will be doing the next year. You may or may not have heard this, but Miyoshi Holloway, who's was our neighborhood champion for the last year. She has resigned, and she's moving on to something else better. And so we're actually at kind of a breaking point right now of trying to find a new neighborhood champion that will come in, take this information, and start making relationships and building relationships behind this information that's been that's come out of this the work to this date. We feel like that while it's not good to lose the neighborhood champion, we don't feel like we feel like it probably happened at the best time if it was going to happen, to where we can start at year 2 and move forward with that. One of the other things that we're doing in the neighborhood kind of at this time, there's an opportunity for New Works, the organization, to kind of come together with Audubon Kids Zone and be more collaborative as opposed to 2 organizations working in the neighborhood, having one organization working in the neighborhood and having everything at some point work their way into being under Audubon Kids Zone. This Neighborhood Champion program would be managed by Audubon Kids Zone, but the New Works Board would still be kind of overseeing the Neighborhood Champion as kind of a sub board. We feel like that one of the biggest challenges is to keeping this sustainable is that we have Wellborn Foundation, who has been doing this neighborhood work for the last 4 to 5 years, funding it in other neighborhoods in Evansville, and Austin has been coaching those neighborhoods. They are willing to pay a 50%, it's basically a 50% grant. So we have, the challenge for us is actually finding that other 50% to pay for this Neighborhood Champion program. It's approximately a $60,000 a year program. That's not, that is for a salary for a full-time person, but there's also money there for projects, for, for doing things in the neighborhood. So we would like to kind of challenge you all. I know that y'all are talking about a major investment in the East End and how to invest in that, and we would like for you to see the Neighborhood Champion program as an ability to double your money, that if you invested $30,000 in it, you're going to have another $30,000 from the Wellborn Foundation to put with that and have a $60,000 program going on as long as you're willing to. Wellborn has funded in one neighborhood up to the 5th year, I believe, and there is an interest in the Wellborn Foundation to see this continue in Henderson as well. We really think that there's going to be some really good solutions come out of this work if we continue to give voice to the residents and let them talk and let them feel like that they're being heard as opposed to just having things done in their neighborhood. So that's where we're going in the next year to 2 years, and we would like to encourage you all to be involved in it. It's a small price, in my opinion, to be involved in the program. Last year I gave 30, this year you gave 15, and we were able to get another 10 from United Way to continue from the pandemic funds. But we feel like that we'll need another, a $30,000 match to be able to have this program continue into the future. So with that, we'd be happy to answer any questions, and then obviously I'm always open to answer questions offline too. So.
Real quick, Robbie, how many years has it been since we started East End Revitalization? About what, 15 to 20?
It's been about 10 years.
Okay, 10
and
years.
There was, I've lost the name. What's the group? What did we call our group? No. Engage, yeah. It started out as the word engage.
Right.
And it was just talking about what can we do. There's been some advancements, and then there was probably 3 or 4 years that not much happened, but truthfully the only thing that's continued on is AKZ. The AKZ and Tammy's work there. Tammy's been a fixture at AKZ for 6 years, 7 years, and she was one, and Austin was involved in the early on work of this as well. So, what we're missing here is a much large. We would like a much larger resident voice. And that's what we're after, is trying to get people to take part in their neighborhood. And, the challenges. I mean, everybody's on the couch, it's just hard to get people involved in their community. And that's going to be the only way to solve a lot of these issues and challenges that are there in our neighborhood. But we feel like there's some positive things that are going on in the neighborhood maybe that need to be promoted that folks just don't know about.
One of the things, we've done a good job. You look around from when we started, that little meeting in South Heights, and we've got new homes, playgrounds. We've got a new business on Madison Street. There's a new store. We've made progress, and I think we're going in the right direction. But one of the things, those numbers and those charts that you bring up in every community, if you see people who are uneducated, they're going to be renters, they're going to be low income, so all that goes together. But the main thing, I think, that what we're targeting is now we're going for economic development. When you put more businesses and money in a community and people are part of ownership in some of those small businesses, then that's where the community really flourishes. And I think that's the direction that our city commission would be headed at, targeting economic development, bringing up incomes. And once you bring up incomes, education follows. So a whole lot of that is what kind of think where we're going.
Interesting on that thought. I remodeled with New Works. We remodeled the corner building on Letcher and Powell Street, and I recently sold that to Marcos from Talkaholics. He has an idea of putting in a grocery store, and that area there's a substantial Hispanic population in that area. And I think that's a economic development possibility there, and hopefully that's going to cause some other dominoes to fall in that Letcher Street corridor.
Can you tell us, maybe some of the neighborhoods you've been working on, what kind of projects are you seeing coming in the second year for a program like New Works, neighborhood champion?
Yeah. So we try to build on any resident that steps forward is willing to work. So, and then we get behind them. And so there's some of that is open-ended, but just for example, you talked about economic development. So the neighborhood the community one, the organization I work for in TP Park, there's almost no business. It's like 95% residential, and so we face significant challenges. Whereas East End has some old bones of infrastructure that really has a lot more opportunity than the neighborhood that we work in every day. But there was a dilapidated, abandoned structure there, and so there was a resident who had lost his catering business because there was a community kitchen that had shut down that he had been driving out to the east side on Green River Road to do, and just from some mismanagement, that community kitchen shut down, so Evansville didn't have one. And so just recently, we've been able to move this idea of a community kitchen where you could have up to 10 businesses in a local business where they could share kitchen space. And so that anyone that was, someone who's running a business out of their store, they can't actually sell, or out of their home, they can't actually sell their goods commercially by FDA regulations. But with now a licensed kitchen in the neighborhood, people can walk to the neighborhood and share that kitchen space. And so the art projects, of course, housing is always top of the list. It's always looking for housing projects. But all those will begin to emerge as we have residents willing to step up to take leadership in it, and investment from for-profit, nonprofit, civic government, anything. Just if we can get behind it and see these flourish, they can move forward. Yeah.
Kind of just advocating for anybody who wants to do anything
Right.
good in the neighborhood.
Right.
Can we raise the quality of life in the neighborhood together? Like anything that's willing, anyone who's willing to do that. And it can be small things too. Like one of the action projects that we share sometimes, because it doesn't feel like a big deal, but it's a big one, is writing just neighborly notes to people on their block, like leaving words of encouragement in the mailbox of their neighbors. Like that's a small thing, but it really helps create a thriving community, a place where people feel like they belong, they're known, that they can know their neighbors instead of be isolated from them. And good things come from those connections as they begin to work themselves out. So,
Kind of a sub project of the year 2 work are called action projects. So he was referring to that, is that we'll have a pot of money for any resident that wants to do something interesting in the neighborhood, whether it's paint a mural, whether it's do a program like that, whether it's loan a library book, anything that a resident feels like they want to do for the neighborhood. It empowers that resident to be able to do that, and then hopefully that empowers them to move forward and for change in their neighborhood. We appreciate the opportunity. Y'all have got a long agenda, but please take this home and digest it. We've read over it multiple times, and every time you read over it, there's some new little nugget that comes out that I think you'll find very interesting. So thank you for working with us in year 1, and we're going to put our nose to the grind on year 2 and come back and report to you periodically, and then at the end of year 2.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Robbie.
We appreciate it. Thanks, Robbie. Okay. Next on our agenda is the consent agenda, and we have a set of minutes. We have a resolution authorizing the litter abatement program, participation in the litter abatement program, and then this last one is been added late. Municipal authorizing the airport improvement program grant application, and I want to mention that's for design only for a project at the airport.
Okay, we actually have 2 sets of minutes, the minutes of the November 9th regular meeting and November 12th, 2021 called Joint City Water and Sewer Commission meeting. Resolution number 33-22, resolution authorizing participation in Kentucky Pride Litter Abatement Grant Program, and Municipal Order 58-22, municipal order authorizing acceptance of grant in the amount of $476,610 from the United States Department of Transportation, Federal Aviation Administration for runway reconstruction and runway extension, and authorizing mayor to execute all necessary documents on behalf of the city of Henderson.
Is there any item a commissioner would like to take off of the consent agenda? Being none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bowles? Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Staton?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Mayor Austin?
Aye. We have several second readings of things we've talked about earlier, and the first one is ordinance accepting public improvements at Canoe Creek, Section 2.
Ordinance number 20-22, ordinance accepting public improvements. An ordinance accepting public improvements consisting of roadways in Canoe Creek 2, Section 2.
Is there a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Motion and a second. Okay. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vowles? Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Staton?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Mayor Austin?
Next is an ordinance accepting public improvements at River's Edge, Section 1.
Ordinance number 21-22, ordinance accepting public improvements. An ordinance accepting public improvements consisting of roadways in River's Edge, Section 1.
Is there a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Yes. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Pruitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Staton,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Mayor Austin.
Aye. Next is an ordinance amending the pay plan for 9/11 shift differential and Henderson Water Utility Chief Engineer.
Ordinance number 22-22, ordinance amending job classification and pay plan and non-hazardous grade and salary ranges. Ordinance approving amendment to job classifications and pay plan and non-hazardous grade and salary ranges to remove the HWU Chief Engineer position and to add shift differential for 911 Emergency Communications Department employees.
Is there a motion to approve second reading, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vowles, Commissioner Pruitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Staton,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Mayor Austin.
Aye. Next is a second reading of an ordinance amending the Henderson Water Utility fiscal year 23 budget.
Ordinance number 23-22, ordinance amending portion of Henderson Water Utility 2022 through 2023 budget. Ordinance amending Henderson Water Utility budgeted positions and job classifications of the 2022 through 2023 budget by removing one HWU Chief Engineer position and adding one HWU Chief Engineer contract employee position.
Is there a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vowles, Commissioner Pruitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Staton,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Mayor Austin.
Aye. Next is second reading of ordinance providing for the levy and collection of ad valorem taxes for 2022.
Ordinance number 24-22, ordinance providing for the levy and collection of ad valorem taxes. An ordinance of the City of Henderson, Kentucky, providing for the levy and collection of ad valorem taxes for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2022, and providing for the time of payment for such taxes, penalty, interest, and discount.
Is there a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. I will mention too, just for the record, that there was a reduction in the ad valorem tax rate. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, just to further your comment, back in 2016, we were at 611 on the real property tax rate. In 2017, we cut that from 611 to 490, left it the same for a few years, and then the mayor is correct, we just cut it again by about 3% more as part of our long-term strategy to continue to try to cut that down to be more competitive with communities around us.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vowles,
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Staton,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Mayor Austin.
Aye. Next, we have a first reading of an ordinance accepting public improvements. It has to do with Canoe Creek 2, Section 2 sidewalks.
Ordinance number 25-22, ordinance accepting public improvements. An ordinance accepting public improvements consisting of sidewalks in Canoe Creek 2, Section 2 along Arrow Way and Fairground Lane.
Is there a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Is there a second? Motion and a second. Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vowles, Commissioner Pruitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Staton,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas,
Aye.
Mayor Austin.
Aye. Next is an ordinance amending Article 4, General Provisions, Accessory Building. This is as we discussed in July, and it changes the zoning ordinance, the Planning Commission. This went before the Planning Commission, and the Planning Commission recommended these changes.
Ordinance number 26-22, ordinance amending Appendix A zoning relating to accessory buildings. An ordinance amending Article 4, General Provisions, Section 4.24, accessory buildings of Appendix A zoning of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Henderson, Kentucky.
Is there a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Second? Any questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vowles? Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Staton?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Mayor Austin?
Aye. This is, the next one also went to the Planning Commission, and they returned with a recommendation. Ordinance amending Article 35 for residential manufacturing home district.
Ordinance number 27-22, ordinance amending Appendix A zoning related to residential subdivided manufactured district. Ordinance amending Appendix A zoning of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Henderson by adding Article 35 R SMH Residential Subdivided Manufactured Home District, Sections 35.01 through 35.06.
Is there a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments?
I'd like to ask our city attorney, we've had a question or two pop up about this specific ordinance. Would you mind going over what a question might have been and what the answer to that is and what the impact of this specific?
Sure. One of the questions was, or one of the concerns was that this actually, we're looking at a specific subdivision, but this can go to other subdivisions as well. We had a subdivision, if you remember, that was annexed into the city in Zone R2. But this is really a manufactured home that had trailers on them when it was annexed in. One of the questions was, if we don't pass this and we don't do a map amendment, can individuals put in manufactured homes right now? And the answer is no. No manufactured homes if they have been, if the lot has been empty for a year or more, they've lost their non-conforming use, and manufactured homes cannot be placed back here. So we are actually giving the developers and the property owners out there more flexibility in passing this.
Thank you. I've had a similar question posed to me too. I just wanted to point out that we're making this less restrictive and not more restrictive.
Good, good. Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vowles?
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Staton?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Mayor Austin?
Aye. Next is a municipal order approving an agreement with the Boys and Girls Club.
Municipal Order Number 59-22, municipal order approving mortgage and assignment of rents between Cliff Hagen Boys and Girls Club Great Features LLLP grantor, Field and Main Bank Incorporated lender, and the City of Henderson third party for the former National Guard Armory property at 731 through 735 North Elm Street, and authorizing the mayor to execute all necessary documents.
Thank you. And I'm going to, even before we get a motion, please, I'm going to ask Dawn to give a little bit of summary of what this means.
As you all remember, when we donated the armory to the Boys and Girls Club, we held a reversionary interest in that, so that if it ever was used for a Boys and Girls Club. Because we have a reversionary interest, the Boys and Girls Club, working with Field and Main, have come up with a way where they can get money mortgage right now to fund their improvement to that building, but that mortgage will be forgiven over a 60-month period by Field and Main in donations. But they can't go forward with that unless all people who have interest in that property approve that mortgage. So we are only on there because of our reversionary interest. We have sent it to our bond counsel. We had some wording change to make sure that it wouldn't affect any of our bonding, because this is not a debt we are incurring. But we do, and we understand why Field and Main wants us on there, because we do have a reversionary interest in this property.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So
please?
moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other questions or comments?
Just one brief one. Just wanted to thank the staff and others who have worked so hard on supporting the Boys and Girls Club over the last couple of years. If you talk to people, one of the most urgent concerns that we have in our community, as it is in a lot of communities, is affordable daycare. And not only are we supporting something that helps provide a structured environment for kids for up to $15 a year in cost, but that not only does wonders for the kids, but it also allows the parents who may not be able to afford daycare to go into the workforce to afford daycare and to in fact go back into the workforce. So I'm very proud of the efforts that we've made to support this particular entity. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vowles,
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt,
Aye.
Commissioner Staton,
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Mayor Austin.
Aye. Next, I don't know if it's on the copy that you have or not, but we had a placeholder there for a municipal order awarding the bid for natural gas pipeline extension, and we have pulled that off, and the bids on that are being reviewed. So we'll go next to the city manager's report, and he has a report on rezoning on West Main Street. City Manager Newman, are you with us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, loud and clear.
Okay. Basically, the current owner of the property is Mulzer Crushed Stone, and they are wanting to sell that property to a lawn and landscaping business located on South Main Street. And the proposed buyer wishes to construct a storage building on said property. Currently, the property is zoned HIP district, and storage buildings are not allowed, so the applicant is requesting a rezoning to industrial in that area. Many of you may not know where West Main Street is, but if you take a right off of South Main onto Jackson, West Main is directly located behind Henderson County Water District. So if anyone has any questions, concerns, it takes this opportunity for us to take those comments and express those back if we have issues with the rezoning request.
Okay, thank you, Buzzy. This doesn't need a vote or anything, but if you have questions or comments, they will be considered. If not, we will move along. Thank you, sir. Next on the agenda is the ordinance review for the entertainment district, and if the commission would like to, we also have available a walk-on ordinance that would apply. So Dawn has met with the restaurant owners and others, and she will give a report on where we stand.
All right, if you all remember where we were the last time that we talked about this, a entertainment destination center license can be held by two organizations. One would be a city or a municipality or a county or a convention center. So an entertainment destination center license, we would be the license holder, meaning we are the responsible party. And so ABC enforcement, if there's any violation, will be against the city for failure. So I just, again, want to do that. You all asked us to go back and relook at the map. If you remember before, ABC had sent us a letter that said all exits would have to be physically manned. That was an interpretation inside the ABC. ABC has now revised that on what they mean by physically manned, and that allowed us to no longer have to have individuals at each exit points. And we'll get to the security plan in just a second. But by taking away the requirement to have that many personnel allowed us to expand the footprint of the entertainment district. So this is the new footprint that we are proposing to do. It would be called the Sunset District. If you remember, tourism and the chamber worked on coming up with the name and the marketing of this. So before we cannot expand over to Elm Street, now this will expand over to Elm Street and on to Washington. With this, we now have a new business on Elm Street that now has a quota license, the Elms, that would be an eligible person to participate in the entertainment destination district. Again, these would be only during times, special events that the city would approve. We would provide colored armbands to each participating restaurant at our expense. Those armbands are about $200 a year, $200 per 1,000 armbands. I don't think you go through 1,000 armbands in a year. Only drinks purchased in special labeled EDC cups can be carried outside the bar into common areas. The cups, each business that wants to participate will have to sign an agreement with the city, and they will order the cups from the vendor directly. The city will not be supplying cups. We submitted our security plan in about 3 weeks ago. Right after the last meeting, we got the approval for our security plan with the state. What we would do is we'll have signs at each of the entrance exit points that will say no alcoholic beverages beyond that part. We will have the cups that have the QR code that links back to the city webpage, which will have the map displayed and the rules of the district. During events when the district is open, we will have our parking enforcement employee or another designated city employee on site and roaming the boundaries. Right now, we anticipate using what was the parking enforcement vehicle to do the drive-throughs during the events. This designated staff person would have direct communication with the 911 call center. The state has approved that. So the QR code, we already have a place on our website where the QR code will go to. Travis did that, and we are ready to give the QR code to the vendor who's going to produce the cups as soon as we're ready to roll. The vendor who's going to produce the cup thinks he can do it in a 4 to 6 week time period. So if you all do first ring a night on it, we will let him know, and we will get him the QR code so he can at least get the setup ready. So one of the questions that we never can decide last time is whether we want to charge participating businesses. Owensboro doesn't charge, but they usually charge for the glasses. Somerset has not charged, but they charge $5 for an armband. Pahuka charges an annual fee of $250. My suggestion would be, since we're going to kind of trial this, is maybe we not charge during the trial and we see what our real costs are, and then come back and be able to report to you after a year as to what our true costs are, and you all can decide whether you want to try to recover some of that cost through a fee to the businesses. The license will be $2,500, a little more. Personnel costs, if you have 6 events the first year, we anticipate the personnel costs will be about $2,200. Armbands, $200 for 1,000. Cups we will not cost, because the participants will charge their own. Cost of signs, we are going to initially do those signs in-house. If we want to go forward, we'll buy better signs, but we're going to try in-house first. Cost of recycled containers, right now we'll use the containers we have, and then if you all decide to go forward with it as a permanent thing, we can go forward and buy better recycling containers. The potential participants with appropriate licenses are Rock House on the River, On Deck, Rookies, Talkaholic, Hometown Roots, Homer's Barbecue, The Elms, and we may have 2 other restaurants coming into the proposed district that will have the appropriate licenses that would allow them to come into place. Timetable, we have to have the ordinance passed before we can make application. Because we have to submit the ordinance, the website QR code, the website has to be up for at least ABC to take a look at. ABC will have to come in and inspect the proposed area. They come to our facility, they come here and walk it. And then if the ABC pursues it, we'll advertise the license for a 30-day comment period. There is a possibility, if the stars align, that the Art Hop in November could be your first event that would allow you to have the entertainment district.
How's that gonna work out with the tennis, at the tennis courts?
The tennis courts actually requested to be part of it because they like when they have tennis tournaments, they would like for the entertainment district to be open those weekends so that their individuals, a lot of them go to Rock House or to On Deck in between games, and they'd like to be able to carry whatever alcohol they purchased and brought it back. And I should say one other thing. It will be up to the business. We are not going to edict whether people can carry their alcohol into different businesses downtown. That will be up to the business. So
that I can't foresee any business allowing alcohol to come in their premises from somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's a nightmare, so
Yeah.
we would not allow that.
right, but there may be retail businesses that
That's
may
yes.
want to stay open. And so if we put that in there, that would prevent retail businesses that might want to have a Christmas or a,
Or
you know,
Art Hop, yeah.
Yeah,
or art hop from allowing people to come in with the alcohol. So that will be, we are not putting any type of edict like that, so that will be up to the business to stop that at their front door if they don't want it in, so.
Well, I think you've done a fantastic job taking our suggestions and putting it on paper and getting everything approved. The only concern that I have is on down the road concern, and we covered that already, and that's having somebody staff it. If we went to regular hours, we would have to figure that out because that would be substantially more expensive. But for a test and trial run like what we're doing over the next year, I think what you've got here looks great.
Yeah, and like you said, for special events and allowing people who do drink, and I don't, but allowing people to walk around in a certain area, I think that's gonna be good for the city.
And it's a perfect trial run,
Yeah.
If it gets out of hand, you
Check it
just
out.
nix it.
Yep.
If it doesn't, we just keep going forward with it.
Really good thing for the city. Obviously, from where we started on this plan to where we're at now, we've made significant progress on the cost reduction. It sounds a whole lot more peaceful now.
We went from 50,000 a year to under 5,000 a year, so that was really good work, Dawn. and We really appreciate that. If we do vote on the first reading tonight, can I request that we have a brief special call before our work session on Tuesday to clear this off? That'll give us a better chance of getting it approved in time for the Art Hop. It's still not a guarantee that they will, because the state works as the state works.
I think, can you handle it, Roy?
Yes, I think we were going to try to do
Yeah.
the gas pipeline then anyway. We're
Okay.
hoping,
Yeah.
we all have our fingers crossed,
Okay,
but
let's
we're
do it.
hoping
Maybe the
it's
gas
really.
pipeline will also
Do
be-
first reading, get it.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Okay, so we do have an ordinance
You're not gonna
ready.
You ready?
Yeah. Ordinance number 28-22, ordinance amending Chapter 4 alcoholic beverages relating to creation of entertainment destination center. An ordinance creating Article 3 Entertainment Destination Center in Chapter 4 Alcoholic Beverages of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Henderson, establish an entertainment destination center in the downtown of the City of Henderson, and directing the City of Henderson to apply for an entertainment destination center license from the Kentucky Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control, and further establishing the requirements for a licensee to sell alcoholic beverages within the common areas of the Entertainment Destination Center.
Is there a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vowles? Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Staton?
Aye.
Mayor Austin.
Aye. We'll see if any of the commissioners have anything they want to speak on. Commissioner Vowles, anything tonight? Commissioner Pruitt, anything?
Nothing.
Commissioner Staton, anything?
Nothing today.
Commissioner Thomas, anything?
Nothing here.
Okay. I have one appointment that I would like to bring before the board tonight, and it is a reappointment to the Henderson City County Human Rights Commission. And the person is Darlene Marshall Ware, who is and has been a pillar for that particular commission. And her reappointment would be for 3 years, ending 9/17/2025. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second? Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Vowles? Commissioner Pruitt?
Aye.
Commissioner Staton?
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas?
Aye.
Mayor Austin.
Next, we have a need to go into executive session, and this will be board and attorneys only.
You want to make your motion?
Yep. I move that the commission go into
Thank y'all
executive session
for
for the
being here. We
purpose of
appreciate
deliberation on the possible sale of property located near Kentucky 421 Henderson bypass, and for the purpose of deliberation on the possible sale of property on Borax Drive, and for the purpose of deliberation on the possible purchase of property on South Green Street, all pursuant to KRS 61.810, paragraph 1, subsection B, and for the purpose of discussion of proposed litigation against the city of Henderson pursuant to KRS 61.810, paragraph 1, subsection C.
Second.
All in favor?